What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Breakdown Podcast. In full swing now, training camp. First day of padded practice is tomorrow. Today, players' day off. So we get a little bit of reflection time from Thursday through Sunday, those four practices. A lot to take away from them, even though they were in shorts. I think big takeaways. Obviously, you can talk about the standouts, and we will talk about the standouts, but I think we could talk about a few kind of bigger takeaways first that I kind of took away from these four practices. First of all, I want to just talk about Arthur Smith's offense. I think we saw a lot of what he's going to do, what he plans to do, what this offense is going to look like. Specifically, when you watch the Atlanta offense that Arthur Smith ran, it's very similar. And so, one of the big questions was, what tweaks are we going to see? If we do see tweaks, we probably aren't going to see those tweaks until much later. And more importantly, just going down on a scheme perspective, a lot of 12 and 13 personnel, a lot of wide zone, a lot of mid zone, inside zone duo. They started to put in power and different kind of polling stuff late in the week, though. So it seems like there will be gap stuff in the scheme. There is gap stuff in that scheme, but they run it much less than the zone stuff. Easily the most wide zone heavy scheme in the entire NFL last year, 54% to only 46%, which was Kyle Shanahan in second place. So really wasn't even close. Arthur Smith ran more wide zone than anybody in the NFL last year. So that's something to watch. That's more Pat Freiermuth. That's more Darnell Washington. Jalen Warren looks great in the scheme, man. They're running a more diverse route tree with the running backs right now. They're running streaks, wheels, Texas routes. You still have obviously your flats and swings and a lot more screens out of the backfield. We keep seeing a lot more running back screens that I'm seeing, and Jalen Warren looks awesome in this offense right now. His wide zone fit with his burst, his ability to break tackles against defenders in space one on one, it's really gonna, I think, lend itself to him. And so far, no pads on, it certainly seemed to be that way. And so Arthur Smith's offense is going to be pretty heavy into those. In the passing game, I think, you're going to see a lot of pistol. You're going to see a lot of play action. You're going to see that because it makes a lot of sense for who they have with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. It already made sense, when he ran a lot of that last year with Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke, and I think he's just going to plop it right back in. And so I do think we are going to see a lot of that as well. So there is really a lot of different moving parts to this entire thing, but we kind of has started to see what this offense is going to look like from a schematic perspective, and it's very similar to what you saw in Atlanta last year. If you watched Arthur Smith's offense, in some ways similar to what the Steelers had last year, but definitely more detailed, more competent. So definitely a better scheme overall than what Matt Canada brought to the table. And obviously, that was a big one that they made, even if it was even an average, even if Arthur was an average coordinator, it's still a massive upgrade. So that's something to watch. I also want to kind of talk about where this QB thing stands. Russell Wilson's going to return tomorrow. It seems like to team periods. He's starting to do Indy yesterday. So it seems like he's on the mend from his calf strain, his calf tightness, whatever you want to call it. So it seems like he is on his way back. And so Justin Fields got all the run on the first 4 days of camp, which actually I think is really good for the Steelers because one, it lets them see Justin Fields day over day and see how he kind of acclimates to the system. He gets easy chemistry with everybody, and you get a fair chance to evaluate him. And so I think that is certainly something to look at. And I thought Fields, I've talked about this, and where I kind of come in on him over the first 4 days is that he was solid. I don't think he was a star. I don't think he was bad, but I think he was very similar to what he was in Chicago. You saw the great deep ball. You saw him throw some really, really frozen ropes into tight windows. So the wow moments were there. Obviously, with his legs, he made some plays. That is something that he's really good at. He's got great speed and his size, especially in the red zone, I think is going to be a big time asset for the Steelers. But you also saw some of the negatives, the volatility from snap to snap. You know, bad decisions here and there, getting it out too late, some pocket management issues where he runs into some pressure. You saw all of that. So it pops up, and you see the accuracy sometimes too outside the numbers. I think is where it really kind of popped up a lot more. Yesterday, for example, we overthrew Scotty Miller on a corner route, and Dante Jackson peeled off and got a pick. So I look at that and you kind of put it together with all the wow throws, and he's had a lot of them. So, the bad that I'm talking about is almost just as equal in frequency as what I have seen from the good. So, it's the volatile nature of what Justin Fields has been so far in the NFL. So, I think really rounds out to decent, solid. But not much more than that. And I'm not sure that's going to do anything to beat Russell Wilson, who has looked really accurate, in the spring. And we'll see. I'm interested to see how Russell Wilson looks coming off this calf injury. But I think Justin Fields right now can be summed up as being solid, but I'm not sure he made, a ton of like inroads in the first 4 days. Yeah, when you look at the rest of the team, though, the rookies are on the surge. I mean, they are. Troy Falatanu, Rome Wilson, Peyton Wilson are all getting significant run. And Peyton Wilson, man, looked really good over the weekend. They gave Landon Roberts like a modified, almost vet day off type deal on Sunday. And so Peyton Wilson played a lot more. He's everywhere. He flies. I mean, this guy is really, really gifted in rare physical gifts. It's not just the speed, it's not just the size, it's not just the acceleration. It's the ball awareness on top of that. He is going to be a contributor to this unit. I really believe he will be a contributor to this unit right away. I just think it's going to be really hard to keep him off the field. Roman Wilson has come on very nicely over the first 4 days of camp. Man, just winning from the slot, winning even outside at times. The route tree is becoming more expanded for him. So he looks more comfortable. He gets open. He's making tough grabs. He's run at least 8 to 9 different routes. They're using him from stacks, motion. They're letting him get pressed up a little bit and try to test him there. And I think he's responded well to all of it. So I think Roman is doing a nice job. And then you look at Falatanu yesterday. You talk about that 7 shots rep, the second 7 shots rep, where Broderick Jones gets nicked up, has to step out for a rep, and he has to come in and block TJ Watt, and he stymies him right at the line. Perfect two-hand punch right to his chest. And he did that multiple times. So, Troy Falatanu looking really solid too. So these rookies are looking good. Zach Frazier, not much to note with Zach Frazier, uh, good or bad. It's tough to kind of evaluate center play. The snaps have been fine, which is like the most basic thing I can say. He hasn't gotten any first team reps. It's been all Nate Herbig so far. I still think he starts, but tomorrow, when the pads pop on, this one will really be able to kind of break down him more. So we'll see where that ends up going. Even Ryan Watts, is getting dimebacker snaps. So that they're really fixing in this rookie class right away. And I think those three guys I mentioned specifically are getting a lot of focus and are playing really well. Other things that I've kind of noticed, an overall sort of sloppiness to the offense. There's a lot of new. We've talked about this a little bit. New OC, new QBs, new wide receivers, two rookies all along the offensive line. So the new of that room is definitely showing up. There's been a lot of false starts. There's been some miscommunications, passes, blocking, et cetera, et cetera. So that general sloppiness has been something I've noticed. Definitely want to see it cut down the more you go. I think they had like 6 or 7 false starts on Sunday. So definitely something to watch out for as we continue to move through training camp. On the defensive side of the football, this defensive back room has been really nice. Dante Jackson, Deshaun Elliott, your two additions in the secondary have been probably two of the stars of camp. Elliott hasn't been as flashy as Jackson. Jackson's made a lot of plays on the ball against George Pickens and other guys, but Elliott has gone up against Pat Freiermuth, has done a pretty nice job. So those two guys are doing extremely well. Dante Jackson, man, he's interesting. Great speed. You can tell he's got ball skills. He's feisty and doesn't back down from a challenge. He'll stick his nose in run support. You also see, though, going back to his Panthers tape, you see the inconsistencies in coverage, the inconsistencies in press. So when guys get more physical with him and can kind of bring back that energy with the pads on, I'm interested to see how he responds. But so far, those first 4 days, man, he had a really phenomenal start to camp. Beanie Bishop in there too, first team and the slot, man, I can't remember the last time I saw an undrafted free agent run first team on the first day of training camp, but he's doing it. He's earning it. I mean, he takes his bumps. He's still a rookie. And he sometimes against Roman Wilson, another rookie. Those two guys are really going against each other. Good battle right there between those two guys. I really have enjoyed watching Beanie Bishop. Just such a feisty player. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, and you can see it, and it fuels him. He's got great ball skills. He's going to be a good blitzer, a good tackler in open space. So the secondaries look really solid too. Concerns that I have, I still am not sure about this wide receiver room. Let it play out, right? I mean, that's part of what's going on right now because they haven't been able to find a match for a wide receiver. It hasn't materialized. And so you're kind of stuck with the guys you have right now and see what's happened. I don't think anyone has stuck out as a clear two to me. George Pickens is obviously the best one. Um, I do think that Roman Wilson's done well, and he's putting his name into that conversation. He could be the wide receiver too. We're talking about if he continues. I think Calvin Austin, had a white hot spring. Hasn't had a bad start to camp. He's made a few plays. It's just been a little quieter than I thought it would be. Van Jefferson's been fine, and same with most of the other guys in that room. So still have a few questions about wide receiver. We'll see how that kind of materializes throughout the next few weeks. One-on-ones tomorrow. Looking forward to that. A scorcher of a start for DeMarvin Leal. I did not see that coming, man, but he keeps getting pass rush reps and just winning, knocking balls down. He's playing with a hot motor. He's doing everything you can right now. He's getting first team reps as a result of that. So DeMarvin Leal, man, let's see if the light comes on in year 3. He came out very raw out of Texas A&M, and they are just now giving him a surefire, stable spot on the interior. He was outside, he was a tweener, he did a little bit of both. Now he's finally a full-time interior guy, and he's looking good. This is probably the best start to camp of his career. So I'm interested to see what he can do moving forward. And then one last note, too, about special teams, man. Cam Johnston, punter. This guy is consistent. We've had 2 punting sessions, and it's just really consistent. The hang time that he gets, the coverage you can get down there, and he can directionally punt too. It seems like very consistent. I don't think he's like the best punter in the NFL. But they're gonna get probably above league average production out of their punter, which is actually going to be an insane twist to what they got over the past few years. So that'll be another big upgrade for the Steelers. We will be back tomorrow live from Latrobe, first padded practice, folks. And it's when it gets real, it's when it gets cracking. I'll be back more tomorrow. Folks, make sure if you are watching this, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. If you are listening to this, make sure to leave a review. Thanks for watching, everybody.